Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Thinking and Drinking. Before we get to today's episode, just a small content announcement. I've decided to make both audio and video recordings of my podcast because, apparently there are some people who might actually be intrigued to see how weird I get when doing these things. That's the thing. So the videos will be posted on my YouTube channel, Dumpster Pigeon, and the audio podcasts will be hosted in their usual area on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, etc. Now, on to the podcast. For today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my frustration thus far as an elder millennial in cracking the job market, and why the job-seeking advice, well-intentioned or otherwise, given by older generations just really doesn't cut it anymore. So sit back, relax, pour yourself a beverage, and let's get to it. So I finally gave in to my thirsty goblin instincts the other day and started following Henry Cavill on Instagram as part of my ongoing initiative to fill up my social media feed with attractive people and cute animals. And you know what I found out? In the first season of The Witcher so far, the horse that plays Roach, Geralt's faithful steed, is a male horse playing a female horse. I'm sure that there is a Shakespeare joke to be put in there, but after thinking about this for a moment, I messaged my friend and fellow sailor Andrea, and we got to talking about it. And the consensus we came to is that there is some person on the visual effects team whose responsibility it is to edit out horse dicks in post-production. These are the things that you think about when you're in pain and exhausted and, otherwise burnt out from your work week. Yep. Could you imagine trying to describe that on your resume, though? What a talking point. But as another friend of mine, Griff, put it, at least they're getting paid. Think about that for a moment. I don't deny the talent and technical know-how needed for visual effects work. Seriously, that shit's amazing. But someone out there is getting paid, and getting paid probably some decent money, to digitally remove horse junk for Netflix. If that pays well, then I think I might have missed my calling. So what does that have to do with this week's topic? Well, I'm about 4 months away from finishing my master's degree, big yikes, and I still haven't found a job yet for after school. I started looking back in September of last year, and so far, nothing. It's been rough. To put it another way, trying to find a decent paying job that is actually sustainable for me in the long term has been trying to get a Tupperware lid off when you're drunk. That is to say, it's clumsy, disappointing, rarely successful, and there's a lot of swearing under your breath when you think that nobody's listening. And from what I've gathered, I'm not alone. This is the way that it is for a lot of people. There is a lot of talk about how the job market's been improving in the U.S., but I came across an article somewhere that said that these are mostly blue-collar service industry jobs. Now, please don't think that I'm talking shit at all about service industry jobs. I am a first-generation college student. I come from a background of textile workers, food service workers, and mechanics. All of which means that I can make a kick-ass chocolate cake, I can sew a pair of trousers, hem my own pants, and also perform basic automobile and home repairs. I also build my own computers, but that's beside the point. Anyway, the point of all of this is that, well, it's great that we have all of these jobs, but if you have someone who has a graduate degree working at Starbucks, they're not using the full skill set that they've been trained for with their degree. You can also have someone working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. Hello, gig economy. And they're just barely reaching above the poverty level. Back to the grad student working at Starbucks or the person with the master's degree working at Starbucks. That phenomenon is called underemployment, and it is a real thing. You can find out more about it on financial sites like The Balance, by the way. These sites are enlightening and really not in a fun way. And here's another issue. The employment tips and tricks that worked for people 30 or more years ago, when boomers were looking for jobs, those really don't work anymore. The odds of you cold calling someone or just showing up and saying that you want a job and that actually working and you getting hired are statistically very small. If you send in an application, don't expect immediate feedback, or for that matter, any feedback at all. You'll be lucky to be told that you didn't get the job. You just get radio silence for months afterward, and you're expected to kind of get the point. That's kind of like dating now that I think about it. You put your best foot forward, hope for the best, and you're still lucky if you get anything lasting. But seriously though, I've sent out somewhere between 40 and 50 job applications since September. Got about 12 polite rejections, one of which took 6 months to get to me. I've had one interview, which then turned into a ghosting type scenario, so I'm counting that as a no. The rest of it, absolutely nothing. It's pretty freaking discouraging when you can't even get a hiring manager to tell you that you didn't get the job. Even if it's just a canned thanks but no thanks. While the lack of response does seem like a lack of courtesy, the part of me that insists on being fair and empathetic and probably nicer than I should be offers this theory. It's a given that while costs of living have increased in the U.S., wages have remained stagnant. Do the research if you don't believe me. That's what Google is for. With this imbalance growing steeper on a rapid basis, the number of job applications is going to increase as well as people look for those second or third jobs in order to be able to pay their bills. If the number of job applications increases, a hiring manager isn't going to even be able to respond to a lot of those applications. It's bullshit, to be sure, but it makes a kind of grim sense, doesn't it? This is where job hunting is different from dating. Though in dating, it's the whole grass is greener on the other side of the fence syndrome, or as I call it, itchy Tinder finger. Well, wait. That doesn't sound healthy. Scratch that. But you get what I'm saying, right? There are so many options out there that if someone doesn't work out for you, and within like half an hour or so, sometimes even less, you feel free to move on to the next person. However, in the job market, if what I've said so far is accurate, and I believe it is, they're usually not trying to be an asshole. They've just got a big pile of applications to wade through and not enough time to be nice and tell you that you didn't get the job. Just take the hint, move along, and don't call them to ask about it. I'm not looking for advice here, by the way, either on resumes or on application tactics or whatever. I'm really not. Trust me, I'm on about my 50th rodeo. But I've got to keep trying. The one hope that I have left, though, is that regardless of what job I get, as Andrea put it, it won't be as bad as photoshopping horse sticks on The Witcher. That's all I've got for you today. Be sure to come back next week for more thinking and drinking.